Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
That's what I'm talking about.
What?
You, bringing the energy right now.
Of course. Don't I always?
No.
Oh.
I'm Bryce Runge. Sorry, I was taken aback by your energy.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, come on. It's like a light switch. You flip it on. Yahoo. There it is, baby. Coming at you live and in person.
I don't know why you're not like a radio host or something. What are you doing on this freaking podcast?
I don't know. It's something to do for fun.
It is fun. And you know what? I do believe that we have positively impacted people's lives. Those listeners, our faithful listeners. I think that we have made a difference through this podcast. So I'm not trying to downplay.
No. In fact, I did get a compliment about us. So my sisters were headed back Sunday from visiting my parents, and they listened to our most recent one, and they were commenting very positively.
Nice.
They said they love our banter, our back and forth. So
that is one aspect of our show that is fun.
It is.
The back and forth. I did mail the book.
Oh, very good.
Since you texted me 18 times.
I texted you once.
You said you would mail it. Did you mail it?
Once.
Dang, fine.
Once.
I'll get up and I'll go mail it.
Once. One time.
You did. And I said I would do it. And I did.
Well,
I mailed it.
Way to go.
I signed it. Said a little note in there.
Yeah.
I'm the brother you wish you had.
She probably goes, yes.
I don't disagree there.
Well, good. You know,
but I hope you enjoy that, Deanna. That when it arrives, I hope you enjoy it. Give me some feedback.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
She's too good at that.
That's good.
So, all right. So, you know, we work with a lot of different people, a lot of different folks, and I impart wisdom. Okay, my version of wisdom. Yes. So my rodisms.
The rodisms.
And
plenty of them.
That is true. And I'm always reminded, you know, of things that others have said. Mm-hmm. But I always then question, well, are they really wise? Are they, you know, the people that I've learned from, the people that I try to emulate, are they wise? Or are these wise sayings, or are these just wise ass sayings?
Yeah.
And so, so I ask you, how do you, one, would you consider yourself wise? And how do you evaluate if somebody really is wise or just a wise ass?
Well, I certainly have been a wise ass.
Oh, I know.
Most of my life.
Yes, I got a video of you surfing on a classroom desk just to prove it.
But you know, that's funny. The topic for today, I posted on Facebook the article. It was a newspaper article. I was on the front cover of the Orange County Register in 2004 when I signed with the University of Hawaii. In fact, you made a wise ass comment on Facebook. But you know, the title of that article was "Older, Wiser."
Yeah.
You know, if you don't know the backstory, I was older. I was 27 when I got a scholarship to play at the University of Hawaii, and so that's why they tagged that older, wiser. I was certainly older, but I was not wiser.
Really?
No, I was not. There were still decisions that were. How about we just say born out of immaturity?
Okay.
You know, not very intentional with decisions. I didn't lay out the whole map of how things could potentially look. And so, based on certain decisions. And so, I certainly know that I wasn't wiser then. Fast forward 15 years. Mm-hmm. It's probably been 15 years. How many years is that? I'm not good at math. 2004, we're in 2023. That's almost 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Dang. That's a long time ago. Now I would say, yes, there are... I think I operate a little bit wiser these days. I think it is also important. Although maybe some women in our lives would disagree. I think it's fine to be a wise ass sometimes.
Okay. Yes.
But I think for you and I, the crucibles that we've experienced in life have shaped us. They've molded us.
Uh-huh.
And through those crucible, through those the challenges and the setbacks and the adversities that we've faced, we have been able to learn and grow. And through that, we have become wiser. We're not the smartest or the sharpest in the shed.
True.
But I would say, based on the things that we have encountered in life, have strengthened us.
So would you say that there's a difference between being smart and being wise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I kind of would, as you're saying that, or as you were describing that, I'm kind of going, yeah, I think there really is a difference. And that's kind of why when I ran across this article, and it was written by this PhD gentleman by the name of Eric Brown.
I wonder if he's wise.
Well, if this article is anything, and when I say an article, it's more of a blog that he wrote. In fact, I noticed that a lot of my articles are actually more of a blog.
Little blogs, yeah.
But anyway, in here, he was basically saying that for the last 20 years, psychologists have begun to really investigate this, to research it, and try and define wisdom that allows us to kind of maybe paint a picture of what a wise person looks like. Because I think that if you can find that wise person or wise people to kind of follow, listen to, emulate, because, you and I've, read a lot of self-help books, and we kind of embrace some of that.
Yeah.
But he goes on, and he's even saying that wisdom entails identifying those who might help us live our lives better, to find maybe more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Yeah.
So he came up with, or identified, 5 different attributes.
Okay.
And as I read through them, I go, okay. I don't know. I don't know that I'm the most unbiased individual, but I think I kind of hit on some of them.
Okay.
Some might say anyway. So I thought we'd check them out and kind of decide just how wise we are versus how much of a wise ass we are.
So are you going to put us to the test, is what you're saying?
Well, if you're all right with that,
I'm going to go ahead and step off air then.
All right.
Let's do it. You know what? I haven't read this. In fact, I never read anything that you send me, which I know you know that.
Uh-huh.
But I'm going to go with it because I know, in fact, that we are much wiser.
I would like to think that I am.
Contrary to some other people's beliefs,
yes,
I do believe that you and I are wiser than who sometimes are wise asses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's go.
All right. So the first attribute that Dr. Brown came up with is that wise people have an ability to self-regulate. It might be their emotions that allows them to kind of think clearly, to kind of, as you were saying earlier, or just a little bit ago, about the idea to kind of predict, if I do this, this is probably where it's going to lead. He says wise people can do that. They kind of are able to kind of go, okay, if I do this will probably be a negative outcome, but if I go this route, this might be a more positive outcome.
Yeah.
So they're pushing more of a positive push in what they're, in their planning. Again, their ability to self-regulate their emotions. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Don't fly off at a handle. Kind of, okay, breathe deep, count to 10. Now, what do you think you ought to do?
Yeah, that's a big one, dude. I mean, we could look around and see millions of people that don't know how to self-regulate. They don't know how to identify their emotions. People fly off the handle. They post radical things, right, on social media. So I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I've learned, and it's not easy, but I've learned if you are intentional and you've gone through certain things to where almost like you play out the whole movie.
Yeah.
If you can. So like you play out the whole movie, then you know what the end is going to look like. But I think a lot of people can't get there because there's numerous things, right? But we need to go into that. But I would agree. Yeah, self-regulation is powerful.
All right. So the question is, can I self-regulate based on what you know about me, provided I'm not driving? But even then, even though I may, fly off the handle a little bit, I don't run them off the road, I don't pull out a gun, and I don't shoot them.
That's a good thing.
So isn't that really self-regulating?
It is self-regulating. I would say that, yes. And I would also agree that there are times that because of the stresses of life, we sometimes fly off the handle, and we have those moments. And you know what? It's okay. But I think you and I, we tend to reflect, and we have accountability partners, aka wives, who like to point things out, and that's perfect. Because if we don't and we don't reflect, then we don't get better.
Sure.
And so, yes, I would agree that you've certainly gotten a lot better at self-regulating, and since I kind of refuse to drive with you sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. The last few times I've been in the car with you, I was like, you didn't even say anything. This isn't even fun anymore.
Well, I agree with you with the accountability partners. I will say that there are times where I get a little mouthy. And then and a lot of times, I'll just kind of blow up a little with Sherry, and then she'll remind me. She'll kind of, as you say, kind of put that self-check mirror in front of me, and it's kind of like, all right, no, you're right, no, good point. And so so yes, having an accountability partner makes it easier to be able to self-regulate, to be able to recognize and go, okay, look, you're headed in a place that there's no positive outcome. So that's not where you want to go. I know that's not what you want. So why don't we back the train up just a little bit? Why don't we look at what we can do to get a positive, which again is what Doc Brown here is saying. You self-regulate to get to a more positive result or outcome.
Right. And then, because it's not just about you, there are other people around you and involved.
Yes.
And you may not recognize that, but if you're good at self-regulating, you understand that your mood, your attitude, your decisions don't just impact you.
Sure. And that's,
So, anyways.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. So we can agree that we kind of are decent at self-regulating.
Yeah, we're not perfect.
No.
We're close, but we're not perfect.
Yeah, we're around what, 95,
At
97%?
least 97%.
Okay.
Easily.
All right, good.
Without
good.
a doubt.
All right, so second criteria. Wise people are virtuous.
Ooh.
Now, it took me a little bit, but he's talking about, how like philosophers going all the way back to the old days of like Aristotle, where, they're again part of the idea of researching wisdom is just how virtuous you are. And so they're talking about virtuous people and how they act, how they make decisions, and counsel others in a mindful way, focusing on the well-being not just of themselves, but of all involved. It says here that a person who is highly intelligent or savvy may know how to get what they want, but if they do so at the expense of others, can't really count them as wise. I mean, if they're doing it just so that they can benefit, they're going to help you, but by helping you, they're going to be even more successful.
Right.
Versus somebody who does something because it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think if you're wise, like they were saying, a virtuous individual would see the best in others, would try and help others, and understand that wisdom, how am I trying to say this? How about when you are a wise individual, you are not selfish, you're selfless.
Okay. I can go with that.
So that's what this is saying, right?
I think so.
You're trying to pour into other people.
Well, and I'm reminded of, I don't know where they find their sayings, but there's a storage facility that I drive by on the way to school every day, and they have neat little quotes. And one that they've had it a few different times, and I absolutely find there's massive amounts of truth to it. What is easy isn't always right. What is right isn't always easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that, and I think when we're talking about a virtuous person, do they do what is right versus what is easy?
Mm-hmm.
And, I've taken shortcuts before.
Oh, yeah.
But the shortcuts don't always get me. They get me where I want to go, but I may not like what I find when I get there because the shortcuts caused me to sacrifice a little bit of who I am or what I am. I mean, I figured that out with the divorce. Being married the first time, yeah. I took a lot of shortcuts to try and get to a goal I thought I wanted. And as the more I was on that path, the more I did not like who I was.
Right.
Because I was sacrificing too much of what I felt was me to be something that I wasn't.
Right.
And so I'm very grateful for the divorce in that aspect, that it was kind of like a bright light or a mirror in front of me, forcing me to kind of see that maybe I wasn't the most virtuous, that I was claiming to be virtuous.
Right.
But in truth, I was anything but.
Got it.
Oh, anyway.
Okay.
So, virtuous.
Got it.
I would say that with all the work that you do, I would say that you are a virtuous person.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I know that you get paid $10,000 per speaking event, but, no, I'm just teasing. But no, the work you do.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
But the stuff you did with Hope Squad.
Oh, yeah.
When you were, still teaching, and the work that you still continue to do, to help others with your book. I applaud you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, and likewise, I know that you're in the same boat. You're, it's the same reason why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I don't know that we're not making anything. In fact, this kind of costs us a little. But it's fun to do.
And arm and a leg over here. Jeez, got to pay for everything around here.
Yeah, anyways. You do. Hey. All right. That was the
moving on.
Number 3, they see and recognize patterns. They're talking about psychologists. And again, the things that they've come up with in their research here. And they said that older doesn't necessarily make you wiser. Okay? Kind of like what you were saying with the article.
Yeah.
All right? But to be wise, they argue you need to be able to have enough experience to basically discern, to know when and how to apply your knowledge and your past experiences to a new situation, which will then allow for a different outcome.
Got it.
To help people avoid maybe some of the same pitfalls that you have encountered. I mean, I think back to, my parents, my grandparents, people I knew growing up, and they were, well, you shouldn't do that. Well, hey, why don't you try this? Hey, why don't you try that?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when you're 16, you're smarter than everybody on God's green earth, and you don't do it. And I have recited many times and I tell the kids this, and I've said it repeatedly for 20 years to them, I wish I was half as smart today as I thought I was when I was sitting in your seat as a high school junior, as a high school senior.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that one reminds me of, there's a video, and it's somewhere else, and there's like a long trench, if you will, and this guy helps, looks like a sheep, helps it get out of this trench. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
It helps a sheep get out of a trench, and he like pulls it out of there and he lets it go, and then the sheep runs, diagonal, and then jumps back in and finds itself back in the trench.
Okay.
So like repeating, right? And so like, obviously I know we're talking about an animal. However, I've been there before. Someone has helped me and I didn't, get out of a trench, or maybe I've dug out myself, but then I'd find myself right back in it because I didn't, I would say, one, recognize those patterns, but as I have become older, I reflect a lot more. And that's where that transformation, that growth comes from, because there are going to be not identical situations. There are going to be similar situations. And I think that's what they're saying is here, that you're wise enough to recognize that you're in a situation to not then put yourself back in that trench.
Yes. And yes, absolutely. And if you can recognize what's happening and apply lessons learned to get you a more positive outcome than a more negative outcome, then you're on par. You're doing what you need to do.
Right.
Because, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome.
Right.
Well, you want a different outcome, you need to have a different plan. So, again, are we wise?
Yes. Now we are.
Well, I would say that marriage number 2 is everything I thought marriage number 1 was going to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would like to think I was a little less rash and applied lessons learned.
Right. Yeah, I would agree that, both you and I have, through a not so fun experience, have gleaned a lot from that. Took a word there.
Okay. You're fine.
But, and I think about that often. I'm also like, I find myself in circumstances and I'm like, this something happened like this before or something similar, and that's how you responded then. So not to respond this way. And so, yes, while that comes, wisdom, I just, again, it's just overall, like, everyone benefits from that. And so, you're around kids, you teach kids, and I was in education, and I did my best to try and, I guess you could say, teach wisdom. I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Mindset, basically. Similar things, and I think about that. Like, are the kids? They're not being equipped with the things that we talk about. At least not not in
the way that I would like. And
Right.
I do what I can, but at the end of the day, I suppose if you don't have a willing recipient, then the information being delivered will be ignored.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
which ties kind of right in with item number 4. They talk about your ability to navigate your environments well.
Okay.
And so, in fact, they're talking about this psychology professor from Cornell. His name's Robert Sternberg. And he says that one attribute of a wise person is their ability to decide between 3 possible responses to your environment, especially when you're not pleased with the environment that you're in. He says, 1, a person can simply adjust or adapt to their environment, or they can seek to shape their situation, or they can seek a new environment altogether. You know, and that kind of I think my dad would say something like this, you know, that you can, when you're faced with something you don't like, you can either fix it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of what, you know, this is saying. And I think that how many of us are willing to leave an unpleasant environment
Right.
to go find a new environment altogether? I mean, do we just sit there, whine, gripe, and complain?
Right.
Which I've got a few coworkers that's really all they do.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Love those folks.
Well, and I had better understand the issue of a, you know, energy vampire. But this argument, this Dr. Sternberg from Cornell, he says wisdom is needed to discern whether a person can adjust or adapt too much without that personal sacrifice of who they are.
Right.
You know, when I was married the first time, I felt like I was trying to adapt, but I discovered way too late that in my attempt to adapt, I I basically became something I didn't want to be, became someone who I did not want to be. And so had I maybe been a little wiser, I would have recognized that, hey, this is an unhealthy environment and maybe I need a new environment.
Yeah, and I guess what I take, yes, I agree to those things. And I guess what I would take is that I've been in situations where I've allowed the environment to shape me.
Yeah.
You know, and change me, but not for the better. Knowing now, like, wow, that wasn't a good environment to be a part of. But now, like this, what you're reading, you know, I could go into an environment, and I'm going to use you have discernment. One, this isn't good. I have the ability to maybe change things, or I can find a new environment. But like what I've said is, you know, use the thermostat analogy, right? And not the thermometer, right? When being a thermostat, you regulate the environment. So I could walk into a building and say, I'm going to be the thermostat. Right?
Don't use big words.
I know, it's way too big for me. I'm trying to slow down. I had this energy drink. I'm not going to tell you where it's from because they're not sponsoring us yet. Anyways.
No, you're fine.
Like a thing. Anyways, you know what I'm saying?
I do. In fact, that kind of ties right in with the last statement that is made here, in which they say a wise person knows that when they move on, to move to a new and improved environment, not back into that same old environment. Kind of like the sheep going back to the ditch.
Right.
So, all right. So hopefully we have a little bit of ability to navigate. Here we go. Last one. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
Good. Wise people know how to make the best out of a bad situation. You know, glass half full instead of glass half empty kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that,
for sure.
For me, that's how I read through this. Okay. And being able to recognize, you know, long-term, short-term effects, how to minimize, you know, a situation so that you don't have serious long-term negative consequences.
Yeah.
But again, make the best of what you got. Make lemons out of lemonade, however you want to, you know, say all that. But again, wise people have that ability.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, for us, you know, being wiser, you know, or anyone, right, who does good in all those areas, they don't think disaster right away.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? They're going to say, okay, maybe this is not the ideal or the best situation, but I'm going to look at this as an opportunity to change things for the better, or grow, or use this as an opportunity for strength. I'm going to not see it as disaster. You know, it's like the quote, I don't know, it was unknown, about the storms that come in through your life or whatnot. Some of those storms are meant to clear a path.
Oh, sure.
But a lot of people don't think like that. They see a storm and think disasters. It's going to come and devastate everything, but that's not, there's a lot of times that's not the reality. But I also I do believe that the obstacles we face aren't meant to hinder us or destroy us. They're intended to strengthen us. But if you have that type of a mindset, you have a wise mindset, then you're going to be better off, and then so are the other people around you. Right? Because there's a lot of people out there, and you, like you said, work with them, and I've worked with them. They see the worst in everything. They're negative. They're energy vampires. They complain about everything. Oh, this is horrible. What you just need to start telling them, Rod, is, if you threw your problems in a pile of the world's problems, you'd run after yours and get yours back.
Yeah, I may try that tomorrow.
There you go.
Because
you're draining. You're bringing your toxic stuff into our environment, our culture, and it's not okay.
No, it's not.
It's so hard to tell people that. We could sit on here all day long, but like I've tried the subliminal messages and like write it on the board, whiteboard, no complaining.
Yeah.
No complaining rule or whatever. And the best thing that we could do as wise individuals is model it. And if we need to step in and say something, that's how you protect and defend the culture.
Yes.
The environment. And that's sometimes people's wake-up call. And if they don't like it, tough shenanigans. Shiitake.
Yeah. Shiitake mushrooms to you. Pack your bags. See you later. Don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out. I mean, I think it's hard to do. I think we can sit here and discuss this list till the cows come home.
Yeah.
But it's our ability to actually employ these 5 attributes. And maybe one day, maybe we too will indeed become as wise as we think we are. Be wise men, not wise asses.
I love it. You know what? I think that we do pretty good in those 5. I don't say we're perfect in them. I could say and step back that I didn't even know what these meant a long time ago. That was all I did was the opposite.
So,
anyways,
well, let's go practice what we preach.
What's that?
This.
Oh, well, let's do it.
All right. So until next time.
I'm Rod.
I'm
Bryce.
Peace.
Bye.